listening to the podcast, She Who Believes, and I am your host, Vivian Bell, and I am indeed She Who Believes. Today, I want to help you celebrate yourself and to stretch your faith. I want you to be able to see yourself as being made in the image of God, because that is exactly what you are. You were made in the image of God, and you reflect Him. So before we get started, we always make a declaration in the beginning, and our declaration comes from Luke 1 and verse 45. This week I'll be declaring it from the English Standard Version. You can choose whatever version you like. The only thing we ask you to do is that in the place of she, that you put in your own name. So your verse, depending on the version you're reading, it could say woman, but just replace it with your name. But don't just do it just to be doing it to participate. We ask that you do it along with us, believing. Hence the name of the podcast, She Who Believes. And if you're a he listening, then be a he who believes and stick your name in there as well. So here we go. Luke 1:45, English Standard Version reads as follows. And blessed is Vivian, who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her from the Lord. Now, as I told you guys before, I am an author, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a ministry leader, I write music, I do a lot of different things, but I do none of those things outside of God. I do none of those things outside of Him giving me the strength to do those things. And I only am able to do those things because I chose to believe Him. Past the criticism, past the sneers and the snickers and the laughing and the, oh man, she's crazy. Past all of that, there is something that was on the inside of me that said there's more and I can't stop here. So if that's you, and if it's not you, we hope it'll be you by the end of this podcast. But if that's you, this is definitely your place to be. Well, one of our segments is a legacy move. So let's talk about some legacy moves. Now, I want you guys to know that I really believe that now is the time for us to make moves by faith. To make those moves in our business and relationships and ministry and in every single thing that God has called us to put our hands to. Many of us are evangelists who are called to evangelize, to go out and speak. Do that. God's been tugging on your heart for a while. Go ahead and do it. The thing that you miss is that it's bigger than how you feel about yourself, what you see, how you think people feel about you. It is about generations that are on the inside of you that come from your bloodline that will be freed because you stepped out in faith. That spirit of fear that has bound your family, that you may have had people that were super intelligent give their lives over to drug addiction and other things that have just really detoured them. And then not only did that happen in that season of their lives, because we have to remember that a moment in time, a moment where we had a failed moment does not make us failures, nor does it mean that our life is over. But so often we falter and we get stuck in that and we let that define us. I want to tell you today that nothing you've done, said, did, looked at, done it, whoever you did it with, that does not disqualify you from what God has said about you, because God has not changed His mind about you. You just have to decide to believe Him. So what is it that you've been waiting on? I want to encourage you to make a move. Take that leap of faith. Now, if you're considering a legacy move and you need a little more guidance or you like some prayer, email us at vivian@vivianbell.com. That's VIVIAN @vivianbell.com. And we'll be glad to pray with you and get you connected with some people who can maybe coach you and get you a little more guidance. You can also go to the podcast website, our main website, which is Anchor, 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 like anchored in Christ, anchor.fm/Vivian-Bell. Again, that's anchor.fm/Vivian-Bell. And if you click on that button that says message, you can leave a live message for me, and we will get back with you. You may even hear your questions or comments or even your testimonies or those types of things on some of our shows coming up. So check in with us. Now, this week's business shout out. Now, well, before I go into this week's business shout out, I have got to send a true apology to my girl Gigi. Gigi, with these candles, so amazing. I butchered everything last week, so I'm gonna fix that. The actual name of her candle company, it used to be Ava Lauren Co. And if you got any candles from Ava Lauren Co., you know that these girls are not just little girls making candles. They are three sisters making these soy candles in their home. But these candles are grown women candles. And what I mean by that, they are fragrant. They are not just some little girl's thing. They are serious about this business of making candles. And candles bring light. They lighten up the world. So I want you guys to reach out, show them some love. The candle company's new name is now Love Gigi. And she is something else too. Beautiful, amazing woman of God, a beautiful voice. She's written some songs. She's a songwriter and a singer also. So check her out. Again, the candle company is called Love Gigi, and the actual website is lovegigicandles.com. Again, that's lovegigi, G-I-G-I candles.com. And that's Gianna Catalano, who is the owner and candle maker. And Gigi, I thank you for loving me, even though I butchered your promo last week. But I want to thank you for making amazing candles, and make sure you have some for me on Sunday, because I'm ready. I'm all out. I burnt them all. Well, this week I'm shouting out another young lady. Her name is Sarah Danielle. Her mother, Wadia Hughes, is a mighty woman of God, just amazing woman who started this great business for her daughter. She wanted to celebrate her daughter's uniqueness in style and in dress. Now, this line is for classy ladies only. It's for classy ladies who know who they are and who are just fine with the world not seeing everything that they've got. She's bringing class back. So check her out at SarahDanielleApparel.com. That's SarahDanielleApparel.com. And that's Sarah with an H, SarahDanielleApparel.com. No hyphens, one word, SarahDanielleApparel.com. Check them out. They're amazing. I have a dress from them, and I love this dress so much. So anyone who really, really knows me knows that growing up, I was that girl who wanted to play football, but my mama was that woman who wanted to put me in the tights with the little lace on the butt. Well, anyway, I am a dress wearer now. I wear dresses pretty much every day, even when it's cold. But they have the most amazing dresses, and I found this dress, and I now call it my Monday dress, because with the exception of this past Monday, I've worn it every Monday since. And I think once I wore it twice in the week and didn't even realize it. It's amazing. It washes well, it wears well, it doesn't get wrinkled, and it has pockets. Your girl needs pockets, because I'm always on the go, and I can't be tucking stuff in the sisters all the time. So I need pockets. Yes, pockets. So check them out. They have quality clothing, a modest apparel, and just an amazing, amazing family business. So again, shout out to Sarah Danielle Apparel. Now, this week we're going to move on over to our inspiration time, and I'm excited. I'm always excited. I know I say that, but I really, really am always super excited to be with you, to be encouraging you, to push you to stretch your faith, because the word says that without faith it is impossible to please God. And so God didn't make it impossible for us, though. Let me bless you, because he gave each man a measure of faith. So he didn't say, have faith in me. If you don't believe, you're not pleasing to me. No, he gave you a measure of faith. It's up to us to walk out that faith. Now, I know that you may think, well, maybe she's got this faith thing locked. I have moments, because just like you, things happen in life. The enemy may come and try to mess with our thoughts and our mind and get us off focus. Like last week when we talked about the 3Ds, which are distraction, delays, and destroys. The 3D says that distractions, delay to destroy. And we talked about just being focused and being dedicated. And I challenged you guys last week. I challenged you to literally note how many times you were distracted and what you were getting ready to do or had the intentions to do, planned to do prior to the distraction. This is the very thing you should be heading towards, because there's no way in the world that you get distraction after distraction after distraction, and there's not something going on in the spiritual realm that's trying to keep you from getting to your end point. So if it's a book, write it. Start with the rough draft, start with a couple of chapters, but start it. If it's a song, sing it. If it's a song and you need to write it and share it with the world. If it's spoken word, if it is clothing, if it's a multitude of all of those things, do it, and do it to the best of your ability, because that's all that God requires. I promise you, he will put super on your natural. There is no way in the world that me as a single mom should have been able to at times work 2 jobs, go to school, several times go to school, start over, and then actually do what God called me to do. End up with the master's, 4 letters behind my name, and getting ready to have 4 more. And then also be able to design t-shirts and apparel and podcasts and blog and write books and write songs and appear on songs doing spoken word and all of these things. And I'm not sharing these things to brag. I actually am. I'm bragging on my God, not on myself, because he looked at a little girl like me who had low self-esteem, who, even though people told her she was beautiful, did not believe it, because I believed the words that were spoken to me by people who loved me or should have loved me differently, and spoke things over me that up until my adulthood I was still getting over. And at times the enemy will still come and try to deal me a blow based on my past. But I tell you today that our past has been paid for. We're free from it. So this is why this podcast exists. Not because I'm perfect, not because I'm amazing, not because I have this amazing, great idea about podcasts. I literally used to be afraid to speak, and every single time I got an assignment to speak, I would literally cry. Like literally cry. I'm talking sometimes like boo-hoo, snot, ugly face cry. You guys know what I'm talking about when you snot and can't catch your breath. Like that was what I did. And it took God continuing to speak to me, giving me a word, whether it was written word, a word to speak, and giving me the courage. I will never forget God doing this to me once. I had got asked to speak at a ladies' seminar at this particular church I was attending. And so one of the sister congregations had a ladies' seminar, as they call it, and I was asked to speak. So I am that type of person that I take seriously what I say and what I tell people that God has told me, because I am fearful of God. Not fearful that I'm afraid to live my life, but fearful of, I have reverence of him. I honor him. I do not play with God. So when God gives me a word or he signs me up to speak at a place, that I'm like, Lord, you're going to have to give me a word, because if not, they're going to be looking at me and I'm going to be looking back at them. And you told me not to be afraid of their faces, but I wouldn't blame their faces if I got nothing. So anyway, I have been praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. And I knew what my subject was supposed to be, but the Lord literally gave me nothing. And every time I seek to me, send me back to this word. Do not worry, that in the hour I will give you the words you need to say. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm literally in the hour. Like, you guys, I was literally in the hour, sitting on the pew, note cards in hand with a pen. Everybody probably thinking a sister was prepared. I was seeking the Lord. I'm telling y'all, I was seeking him. He gave me titles. He gave me a little but wouldn't let me write a thing. And I'm telling y'all, literally about 20 minutes away from time for me to speak, the Lord was like, now, and he downloaded the entire message into my spirit. And I just was writing and just writing and writing and writing, and remember feeling like, oh my God, you're gonna have to do this, because I can't do this. But that was the whole point, and I didn't even realize it then. It was about the fact that he was doing it. And so this leads into this week's podcast title. It's Beautifully, Perfectly Me. So I meant to tell you guys earlier that sometimes I was that girl who struggled with her self-image. I'm too round, I'm too fat, I'm too chunky in certain areas. My nose is too big and too wide. My head's big, my this, my that, and all of these things. But what I did not realize is that even in that particular instance where I shared with you guys about the Lord not downloading his message until that moment, 20 minutes before I got on the stage to speak, was that God was showing me, I chose you for this. Worry not. And it wasn't like I was just like, I didn't study, I didn't seek the Lord, I wasn't fasting, I wasn't praying. I did all of that. But he wanted me to see that it was not about me, but that he had put something on the inside of me that he was calling for. He was calling it forth. And so today I want to share one of my daughter's favorite favorite verses, and she's come in and written it on my whiteboard. I mean, I got whiteboards, I got chalkboards in my house. I've got, if you walked in my house, which I don't really expose people to my sanctuary that often, but if you were to ever walk into my home, you're going to see pictures of albums that I've designed that I'm still working on, that I'm still waiting on God to give me the rest of the songs, because he gave me the titles over a year and a half ago, and so here and there he's giving me the whole songs or the spoken words for the album. So anyway, my daughter came in, and one day I was in here and I was just working, and my kids, they're so gracious. They've been so gracious since they were children, and not that I've ever not tended to my children, don't misunderstand me, but they have always been so excited for me when they know I'm doing something and they know I'm doing the work of the Lord. They will come, mommy, here's something to drink, mommy, I made you breakfast, mommy, we praying for you, mommy, we love you, mommy, we're proud of you. So anyway, she slips in and she writes this verse on my whiteboard and didn't want me to erase it. And I'm like, girl, the whiteboard, so my whole thing is the whiteboard gets full, and then I have to take care of the stuff on the whiteboard because the Lord doesn't stop downloading. And thank God for my sister Anna. Sister Anna Bandel, she got me a recorder, and she's like, girl, here's a recorder. My dad used to do this all the time, and we laughed at him, but now I understand. And I actually showed her pictures of my apartment, and she's like, yep, that was my dad. Notes on the wall, sticky notes, chalkboards here and there, whiteboards. Anyway, on to the scripture because I digress. It's Song of Solomon 4:7. Again, I'll be reading this from the English Standard Version, but it says this: you are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you. Now, for those of you who just said, well, she doesn't know me, and this word is not for me, my dear, I tell you that I beg to differ. This word is indeed for you. I know that some of us immediately went to the list that we rehearse over and over again in our heads. You know, the one that I talked about earlier, all the faults, the flaws, and all those things. Well, I'm here today to tell you that you need to change your perspective. Oh, yes, I did. I change your perspective. So recently, God reminded me of how when I say a thing about myself, like I'm not enough because of this or that, or thoughts of not enough come to me, that I need to realize that what I'm saying and who I am saying it to. So you see, for years, God showed me that when I say the words I am, that this is his name. Now, how many of us would actually say to God, oh God, you're ugly. God, you're fat. Lord, you sure could have had a better nose, or your eyes are too close together. No, I don't think so. Nobody's going to nobody in their right mind is going to look up at the creator of the universe and be like, oh, Jesus, you tripping, you messed up. No, we won't do that. So why do we speak it to ourselves? Why do we do these things to ourselves? Why are we so critical of ourselves as women and women of God and of other women? We are all the daughters of the Most High God. You are born again in God. You are his daughter. There are no flaws in you. Now, this doesn't mean that we do not desire to be healthy in our bodies and to take better care of ourselves, or to perhaps lose a few pounds so that our organs can function properly. We do those things, but it does not mean that we don't need to surrender our heart to God and let him purge things out of us that are not like him. We have to be able to surrender these impure thoughts about who we are to God. What I'm saying is this: right down to your shape of your body, your nose, your curve of your hips, your neck, the rolls in your neck. Because I realized when I watched the video on Sunday that they had me do for an advertisement for a ministry that I'm in charge of now, that I got rolls in my neck again. So you know this girl went back to doing her crunches. But anyway, I digress. God chose you and he formed you. Respect his work. Honor him in how you speak to yourself and the way in which you treat yourself. Do not allow negative thoughts about you, God's handiwork, to bounce around in your head. Bounce them back like a ball, right back to where they came from. Now, my daughter, again, my princess. My daughter gave me this analogy when she was real young. She said to me, Mom, I want to tell you what I do with bad thoughts, or when the enemy is telling me lies about myself now. I said, oh, okay, well, what's that? She said, I say, oh no, that's not mine. And I bounced that thought right back to hell. She said, I see it as a ball that he bounced to me. and he's trying to bounce it around in my head and find places for it to land. But I say no, I stop that ball and then I bounce it right back to him. And I know that the Lord will put up a shield and raise a standard to block that ball from coming back. Now, what middle schooler, I'm talking about like actually getting ready to go to middle school, it tells you that? Well, she's blessed her mama with that, because now I bounce that ball right back to hell. I want to encourage you to do the same. I don't think I really need to say anything else about being good to yourself. So I want to challenge you this week. Every week I'm going to give you homework. That's what I do. I'm a counselor. So when I counsel people and I speak to people and I encourage them, I give them homework. Because what good is a word that we don't walk out? Amen. So this week's challenge, I want to challenge you to create an I am list. An I am list of I am statements. So my children were younger. They were in elementary school maybe. And God again at that time was speaking to me about how I spoke to myself. And every time I said I am, I was speaking his name. So he led me to make a list of I am statements. Now, I want you guys to know that you can put anything on that I am list. It doesn't have to be something that you already are. I put things on there that I needed to be and needed to become. One very thing I put on there, and I'm going to be very vulnerable. I think I've shared this with you guys before. One of the things I put on my list was that I am a mother who speaks kindly to her children. And so anybody who's ever known me, I've always wanted to be a mom. I had chosen my daughter's name at the age of 12. Didn't know who her daddy was going to be. Didn't think anything about that. I just started praying for my children. Well, I knew that there were certain things I didn't want to do because I lived through those things. One was to speak rudely to my children, to be vocally abusive towards them, or to be mean and say things to them or yell at them, because I remember what that felt like and how crushing that was to always be yelled at, to be called names. And even though I did not call my children out of their names, I would scream and yell, and I would get into this frustrated fit that I hated, and I would always just cry afterwards. And so this was one of my declarations, and I declared it over my life every single morning. So what happened with this situation is that one time we were living in this townhome, and I had yelled at my children. I had sent them upstairs, and then I fell on my face crying before the Lord because I was so broken that I had done it again. Like I couldn't seem to stop. I wanted to, and no matter how much I desired to, I couldn't seem to stop. And so I was begging God, and my two young children came downstairs, laid their hands on me, and begun to pray. Lord, please bless our mommy. Let her know that you love her, Lord God. Let her know she's a good mommy. Let her know that she's loved. They were speaking all of these affirmations over me. And so after that day, my I am list grew. I put it on my wall, and it went from being handwritten, front and back, 4 pages, to being typed and basically covering an entire side of the wall in my room. But I made sure I declared those things over my life every single day. My I am list is so long now, and yes, here I am about 15, 16, 17 years later, still declaring my I am list. It has gotten so long. Now, there are things I've been able to move off my I am list because I've been able, through God's help, I've achieved those things. Through God's help, I am a published author. Through God's help, I have a radio show, which is now called a podcast. I have all of these different things that God has done inside me, outside of me, through me, in me. He's done them, so I was able to mark them off, but keep adding more things that I declare to my list. There are things like, I am a woman who speaks kindly to herself, and I get up in the morning and I declare not, that I will not let the word not be a deception to me as it was to Eve and Adam in the beginning. So I say, Vivian, you are not going to walk defeated today. You are not going to operate in a place of bitterness or pain. So I make those declarations, and now I have done what I've done because it has gotten so long, is I recorded it and I play it in the atmosphere in the morning when I get up. So anyway, I am list. You need to make declarations on there. When you get up every morning, make those declarations by faith. I would really love to hear your stories, your testimonies on your journey to a better way of loving yourself and celebrating you. So again, you can reach out at anchor.fm/Vivian-Bell. Again, that's Anchor, ANCHOR, as in anchored in Christ, anchor.fm /Vivian-Bell and leave a voice message. Tell me how this is working for you. Tell me how you're enjoying the podcast or not enjoying the podcast. Reach out and just talk to your girl. Holler at me. So again, I do want to remind you to check out my girl Sarah Danielle at SarahDanielleApparel.com. Now, also, of course, I've got to tell you guys about Empowerment Academy. You can find